Brian Kelly was fired at LSU over the weekend, which means the Tigers have a head coach opening. So we're going to explore some potential options for LSU as this coaching cycle is getting kind of crazy. I told you guys Saturday night, I think the Brian Kelly era has to end. It ended yesterday, and now they're on the search for their next head coach. I want to ask you guys right off the rip here, who should LSU hire as their next head coach? Should they hire a current college head coach somewhere else? Do they dip into the NFL ranks? You let me know what you think about that. How about Lane Kiffin? If I'm LSU, I'm pretty all in on Lane Kiffin. He is my top option by a pretty healthy margin. He's coached in the SEC for a while now. He was the Bama OC under Nick Saban. He's matured over the years. He has a personality, which I think you have to have at LSU. Brian Kelly did not. And Lane Kiffin has Ole Miss rolling and playing at a very, very high level currently and really for years now at a program which historically is nowhere near the program of LSU. Now, NIL changes things, of course. Here's what Bruce Feldman, one of the top college football insiders, said about Kiffin and the possibilities of LSU. He says, whether he is ready to leave Oxford, where his extended family is settled in nicely, is another matter. The 50-year-old has done an excellent job and has the number 7 Rebels in prime position to get into the college football playoff for the first time. I expect both Florida and LSU to push for Lane Kiffin hard. I think he will be the top target for both. Now, I think LSU is a more attractive job than Florida. Both jobs have a lot of attraction, but I think LSU is more like we're all in on football than Florida does, especially in this NIL era. But historically, both jobs are obviously better than Ole Miss. Now, Ole Miss is paying Lane Kiffin a lot of money. They've given him a lot of resources. They spend in NIL. So in today's era, if you're Lane Kiffin, you don't have to force the issue. You could stay in Oxford, chill. They'll never fire you unless the program just falls off a cliff. You can continue to parlay these job openings into raises from the Ole Miss boosters. I think he's making $9-10 million. He could easily be over $10 million based on job interest he's going to get this offseason. So I would certainly understand him saying. I would also understand him saying, man, LSU's open and they want me. That's a pretty damn good job in college football. All right, subscribe to the channel. We'll take a look at some more candidates in a second, but we have free and daily content here on the channel, college football, NFL videos, just for you. We're trying to get to our next milestone of 13,000 subscribers here on the channel. So if you want to support the show, we would greatly appreciate it. All you got to do is subscribe. Okay, we'll get to some other candidates here. Obviously, James Franklin's going to be a hot name in this coaching cycle after Penn State fired him a few weeks ago. And I think it's going to be interesting to see where he lands because there are some big job openings, and I don't know how many strong, proven candidates there actually are. So, just as a sidebar here, as you look at some of the top openings right now, I mean, you have 3 top 15 programs, LSU, Florida, Penn State. You could argue top 10 for all 3 of these. In today's landscape, I don't know if all 3 are top 10 jobs, but they're certainly top 15. Arkansas is a good job in the SEC. They have a lot of money as well. If you're like a B, C level program and you're on the fence about firing a coach, I think I'd be keeping them at this point because you're competing with these big boys. Like if you're Wisconsin, for example, with Luke Fickell, he's been terrible, but is this a cycle to move on from him? I mean, at best, you're probably the 5th best job opening at this point in time. I will say for James Franklin, I think I like him better at Florida than I like him at LSU. I think he's a better personality fit at Florida if I had to guess. LSU always has like these unique kind of quirky guys that work, and James Franklin's not really that. Now, he's got a personality, unlike Brian Kelly. He's super well-spoken. He's a player's coach, which is the anti-Brian Kelly. I think he would do well at LSU, but I think he's a better fit at Florida, factoring in everything. Eli Drinkwitz, speaking of quirky, goofy, kind of an oddball, the Missouri head coach who's done a really nice job. Early on his tenure there, I was like, who is this guy? They hire the App State coach. He's kind of just a weirdo, and he's really got that program rolling. I mean, they got an outside shot to be a playoff team this year in a crowded SEC, obviously. Feldman had this to say about Drinkwitz. Said Drinkwitz is also expected to be in play. He's proven to be a very good coach who can handle the spotlight. The 42-year-old Arkansas native has been terrific in 6 years at Missouri, going 27-7 over the past 3 seasons. And again, if they're able to win out, could make the college football playoff this year. Look, he's a goofy, quirky guy, but doesn't that kind of work at LSU? Ed Orgeron, kind of a weirdo, like this Cajun, just bizarre guy, wins a national championship. You've got Les Miles, who's literally eating the grass at Tiger Stadium, wins one, two, I can't remember, at least one national championship, goes to Kansas and is like the worst coach we've ever seen. Like, sometimes weird works in certain places, and LSU seems to be one of those places. And Brian Kelly is just like this stiff, angry guy that faked a Southern accent when he got the job. Like, I knew when he did that, I was like, I'm betting against this working, and it did not work. Eli Drinkwitz, young, energetic, quirky, funny guy. I think he could work. He wouldn't be my top guy. I'd go after Lane Kiffin, who has a strong personality as well. But if you don't get Kiffin, I mean, Drinkwitz would be a pretty intriguing option if I was LSU. We'll take a look at a few more candidates in just a moment, but today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. It's very easy to navigate the Prize Picks app, as you can toggle by sports and then specific stats as you start to make your lineups. You just pick more or less on stat projections for 2 to 6 player lineups, and if you hit, you win money. Prize Picks is the only app that offers stacks, meaning you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. Want to pick your favorite quarterbacks more on passing yards, rushing yards, and touchdowns? Now you can, all in the same lineup, only on Prize Picks. For tonight, I got a little 2-player lineup for the Monday game. Marcus Mariota, more or less than 11.5 yards rushing on his longest rush. I took more. He's a good scrambler. I think he'll have at least one 12-yard rush. And then I took more than 66.5 receiving yards for Rashee Rice, as it's his second game back, should be full throttle, and even last week had 7 catches. So $20 lineup to win $60 there. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Kenny Dillingham is a popular name that is going to continue to be linked to some of these jobs. Now, Arizona State's 5-3 this year. They've had some disappointment, but they've also had Sam Leavitt kind of in and out of the lineup. He's been banged up at quarterback. I'll say this, Kenny Dillingham with top recruiting resources, I'm pretty intrigued. 35 years old. He's a very energetic guy. Arizona State was picked dead last in the Big 12 last year and made the college football playoff. He's an impressive guy. Here's what Feldman had to say about him. He said Dillingham was wowed a lot of folks inside college football over the past year. The 35-year-old took a woeful Arizona State program, and by year 2, had the Sun Devils in the college football playoff and then almost knocked off Texas. Dillingham is one of the most dynamic head coaches in the FBS. He's energetic, creative, feels like he's the anti-Brian Kelly. I would agree with that. But he is coaching at his alma mater. Whether he'd leave that just as he got things rolling might not be a given, even for a job as big as LSU. I get it's your alma mater, but in today's landscape, if you're not in the Big Ten and SEC, you're not safe long term. That's just the reality. If LSU calls, I expect him to answer. I think it's as simple as that. Now, they may have to make him a huge offer. He seems pretty loyal to ASU, but you're telling me if LSU offers him $10 million a year, has tripled, quadrupled the NIL resources, will pay him, give him a bundle of money for a top-notch staff, that he's going to stay at Arizona State. I guess I'd have to see it to believe it, because that would be a hell of an opportunity to turn down for Arizona State, which is a nice program, but nothing special, obviously. Clark Lee, the Vanderbilt head coach, who's doing a hell of a job there. Obviously, him and Diego Pavia have taken the college football world by storm this year. Vandy is 7-1 for the first time since 1941. Pretty crazy. I mean, for my entire life, Vanderbilt was pound for pound the worst Power 5 job in college football. Kansas was in the mix there for a bit, Rutgers, but Vanderbilt consistently was a joke. James Franklin had a few nice seasons there, then he goes to Penn State, and now Clark Lee has them as good as they've really ever been. And he's certainly going to get some looks for some of these big jobs pretty soon. Feldman here on Lee says he's working wonders at his alma mater. The 43-year-old from Nashville just beat LSU a few weeks ago and followed that up by beating Drinkwitz, number 15 Mizzou team on Saturday to move to 7-1 and number 9 in the rankings. Now, there is a potential deterrent here. Now, I think Clark Lee is a more positive, energetic guy than Brian Kelly, but he was Brian Kelly's defensive coordinator at Notre Dame for 3 years. Like, do you want to touch anyone directly connected to the Brian Kelly coaching tree? I think that's a fair question to ask if you're, on the LSU Board of Regents or a big booster and all that stuff. So that is something to consider. I don't think it should be a determining factor, but it's probably somewhere on the pie chart as you start to do your research on these coaching candidates. Some other names to watch. Dan Lanning's always going to be mentioned for these big jobs, but he seems pretty loyal to Oregon. He likes it up there. Obviously, he's got all the resources he wants with Phil Knight, so that would be surprising, but you never know. John Summerall right there locally in Tulane. He's doing a hell of a job. Many think he's going to get an SEC job soon. I know Bruce Feldman also mentioned that. Keep an eye on Auburn for him if that job opens up. Brent Key pretty soon is going to get looks, right? I mean, what he's doing at Georgia Tech, they could be a college football playoff team this year. Kind of like what Dillingham's doing at Arizona State. It's like Georgia Tech, Arizona State have not historically poured a ton of resources into their football programs, and all of a sudden they're like playoff contenders. It's pretty impressive. A couple NFL names. Joe Brady obviously was the LSU. Technically, he wasn't the play caller, but he was like the Joe Burrow whisperer or whatever they called him on that 2019 team under Ed Orgeron. He would be interesting. He's had a lot of success in recent years as an NFL offensive coordinator. Now, he could be in the mix for NFL head coaching jobs this year. Had a couple interviews last year, so that's something to consider. Same with Jesse Minter, the defensive coordinator at Michigan under Jim Harbaugh, followed him to the Chargers. I think he would be a hell of a college football head coach, but he's probably going to get some NFL head coach looks soon. So, in today's day, most guys would rather coach in the NFL than college. But I will say, would you rather be like insert really bad NFL franchise like the Titans head coach or the LSU head coach? Now, if you really like Cam Ward, you would take the Titans head coach. There's just less drama in the NFL than you have to deal with in today's college football landscape. But I still think these major blue blood programs, a lot of them are better than mid, low-tier NFL jobs, and they pay more. These buyouts these guys are getting, Brian Kelly, sucks he lost his job. He's getting $50 million to go away. I mean, it's a pretty sweet gig if you can get it. So we'll see what ends up happening there. I'm curious what you guys think. Best job opening right now, LSU, Penn State, or Florida? We'll see if a couple other big ones open up. Could Oklahoma sneaky open up if they collapse down the stretch? That's one to watch. Auburn, I don't think Auburn's as good as these jobs, but I think that one could be open soon as well. I don't think Arkansas is on these three level. You let me know, LSU, Penn State, or Florida. I think that might actually be the order. I think LSU is definitely the best, and then you could debate Penn State and Florida when it comes after that. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of 4 Verts. We will continue to pump out content. On an NFL front, trade deadline a week away from tomorrow, so we will continue to pump out some trade buzz as it comes in, so be on the lookout for that. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys soon.